Welcome to the Red Text,
a crossroads of the holy and heretical.
Join us now for another episode in Unholy Communion.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Unholy Communion with the Red Text podcast. I am your co-host, Ryan, aka the Mestizo Mystic.
And I am Fonzie. I am Witch Illumisente on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan, how the fuck are you doing? God damn it.
It's been a roller coaster, but I'm excited because as of today, at this time of recording, my partner flies in from Portland tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be picking them up from the airport. We haven't seen each other in about a little over 40 days, being in a long distance relationship, and it's their first time visiting San Francisco, so I'm super stoked to show them around my city. I do work tomorrow, so after I pick them up, I go to work, but then I'll also be off for a whole week to spend with them, so I'm super stoked for that. But other than that, life has been a little bit of a roller coaster. I don't know if I've mentioned it on previous episodes, but I accepted my offer of admissions to grad school, so I'm going back to school this fall to work towards becoming a therapist. I turned down a job offer, which was cool because it was like my first time like wanting to be recruited by somewhere, but like I was like, sorry, I'm going to school instead. Can't join you guys. And then I've been really just focusing on building my spiritual practice again. I've really stepped back from Instagram. I still scroll, I still lurk, but like anyone who follows me probably knows I really don't post that much anymore. And it's because Instagram was just completely distracting me. Instagram wasn't distracting me. I was allowing myself to be distracted through Instagram from my practice. And so I'm finally getting back into the habit of things like praying the rosary every day or spending dedicated days with dedicated spirits or ancestors and praying with them, and just really remaking up all the time that honestly, since the beginning of the year, I've just been really lacking in my spiritual practice. So it feels good to be stepping foot back into that. And I've been having so many crazy synchronicities since I have been, and just feeling more whole and fulfilled since I've started getting back into my practice. And I plan on posting here and there, but like content creation is not my life, so I'm not tripping if like I'm shadow banned or getting enough likes as before, because I've become a part of the community. I've made the friends I want to make, still meeting cool people. But all that to say, I've been doing good. Life's been a bit of a roller coaster, but I think with the hard downs that have been coming since I've embraced my spiritual practice, that's been like holding me ground and anchoring me. And I'm just stoked for this vacation with my partner to just spend time with them and show them around SF. So I've been doing well. But so how have you been? How have you been, my dear Fonzie?
Well, before we get into my stupid little life, I just want to say congratulations, because you did mention that you were planning on going back to school, but you did not mention that you accepted you going back to school. So that is so amazing. We love a smart queen. I am so happy for you, and that's incredible. The work that you want to do sounds absolutely incredible. I don't want to get into it just in case I don't want to jinx that or whatever. But it's interesting that you mentioned like getting back into like really focusing really on your practice, because you're right. Like, I mean, Ryan and I, our lives do not exist. Like maybe like 10% of our lives exist online, right? We only share a very, very little piece of our lives on Instagram. But Ryan and I talk all the time. And it's wild because I don't want to get into specifics as to what's happening between the two of us in regards to our spiritual court, because we're still working on it. But things that Ryan is doing is synchronized with the things that I'm doing. And it's wild because we don't talk about those things until after they've happened. And it's just like, ooh, like I started working with so-and-so. And then I'll be like, what? Because I was starting to work with so-and-so. You know what I mean? It's like these things started to happen at the same time. And you're right. I don't spend less time on Instagram, but I don't post. I don't post a lot of content as it is. I do post a lot of promos to the things that I'm doing. So that's basically all I really do on Instagram right now is like me raging about what's happening into the world and the fact that the world is on fire, and promos for events. You know, that's basically all I really do, like as of right now. But yeah, it's wild to kind of see the things that are happening around me and the people that I'm meeting and the synchronicities that are happening in regards to my spirituality. It's fucking crazy. But how am I? Okay. um I'm still coming off of a little bit of a high from this past weekend, because this weekend was this really big event that we were gearing up for the last couple of months called Blasphemy, which was held out here in LA, and it was incredible. It was such a sick event. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of context in regards to why it was so cool. One, the organizers are absolutely incredible. I don't think they listen to the podcast, only because they definitely wouldn't be caught dead listening to folk Christian anything. But they're incredible people. They're extremely kind. It's Cody and Coma of Coma Witch, which you can find on Instagram. It's Witch, but instead of a W, it's two V's. They are absolutely incredible. They put on an incredible event. They curated an amazing group of vendors, and one of the vendors is actually a listener. So a special shout out to Stephanie, who is the owner and curator of Catholic, which is an incredible brand that they run that has really dope Catholic themed jewelry and just really beautiful stuff that's all handmade. It's absolutely stunning. I met them over the weekend, and randomly she asked me about some advice, some magical advice in regards to graveyard dirt. So I gave the best advice as I possibly could, and they were like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, by the way, I listened to the podcast." And I was like, "What? Are you serious?" So I was like, I was like, for like reverse fangirling, because I was talking to a listener, and it was so incredible to me. Stephanie, if you are listening, which I pretty sure you are, thank you so much for being so kind and being so amazing, and thank you for your support. I really, really appreciate it. But
You
another
bought her
reason,
earrings. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to say you bought earrings from her that I wanted. The crucifix with like the switchblades that come out. I had my eyes
yes,
on that for so long, and then you put that you bought it. I was like, oh my god.
they are so sick. Yeah, there's like these crosses that have like a switchblade that comes out of them, and I thought, it's like, these are actually really, like, not only are they really fucking cool, but they come in handy. Like, I have a blade in my earring just in case I want to carve something into a candle, or you know what I mean, and I
Or
have the
cut a
thing to carve,
bitch.
or cut a bitch. Yeah, whatever the case may be. I they just come in handy. I also bought a really beautiful Madonna and Child chaplet from her, and it's stunning. It's in my car. I hung it in my rearview mirror. I'm going to use it as a talisman. But everything that they make is handmade. So if you want to support a small business that makes incredible goods, the handle is at Catholic. So it's like Catholic, but like licked, like what you do with your tongue. So yeah, go check them out. It's the things that she makes is absolutely incredible. But the thing that really made the event super cunty is the way that the that we were set up. So it was me and Franny, right? So me and the Wicked Witch of LA. We're kind of like in the entrance, like these like little booths next to the entrance. And at the entrance, there were these vendors. Their name is Adrian and Joaquin. They're the most adorable couple I have ever met in my entire life. Their handle is at Witches and Devils on Instagram. And their booth is this giant, it's just this huge, like 1940s, 1950s style, like carnival devil booth. And they were selling like Adrian's art, like stickers and stuff like that, but they were also like giving out like free satanic baptisms at the
Oh
front of
shit.
yes. Okay, and then the craziest thing is that I had my Marian altar right in front of it. That's where I was doing my reading. So it was the best dichotomy, because we had people literally getting satanic baptisms, yelling literally hail Satan right in front of Mary, and it was the best fucking time. It was so much fun. It was the best thing, and I Franny and I made friends because queers we like gravitate towards each other. We're just like, hey girl, and like girly girls are gonna girl. So like we made friends with them, and we were talking about like how the dichotomy of Christianity and Satanism, and we just got into it, and I made a really great group of friends and an amazing connections from this one event. And yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just like coming off this high, and we're still talking. We still have this group chat going online. I'm gonna see some of them actually over this weekend, because some of the vendors from that event are vending in another event, so we're gonna go meet up and support them, blah 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 blah. So like it's like this really cute little community of vendors and like occultists who just want to support each other, and it's really really amazing. Also,
That's so
the
fucking
last thing
cool.
I'm going to say is that I donated, well, I haven't done it yet, but I made over $600 from those 2 days, and those $600 is going to be donated to abortion services for Indigenous women here in the United States. So if you received a service from me or you donated to me, I really, really appreciate it, because that is where the money's going.
That is such an amazing offering and opportunity for you to raise money for such a for an organization that really needs it during the times that we're going through.
I agree. I thank you. I appreciate that. People were like, "Oh God, you're so noble in doing that." I was like, "Listen, I didn't do it to be noble. I did it because I was pissed off." It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just getting it's not getting wild. It is wild, and I'm just tired. I'm just so fucking tired of the world being on fire. Like we're trying
Yeah.
to douse this fire as much as possible, and it just won't fucking stop.
I do want to take a moment of silence during this episode because, as of the day that we are recording this, it is May 25th, 2022. And yesterday there was the shooting that happened in Texas. I want to say it's Uvalde. I hope I'm getting that right. But where I believe 18 or 19 children were killed in school, and one adult, a teacher who was defending the kids. Just before we start going into the nitty gritty of the episode, I would just like to invite a brief moment of silence for all those souls lost. And not just those souls, but also there have been several mass shootings just in the last week. I believe one in a grocery store and one in a church, I believe.
Yeah, there was a shooting in Buffalo in a predominantly black neighborhood in a grocery store that happened last week, and then yeah, the church shooting as well.
Right. So yeah, just a brief couple seconds of silence for all those lost souls, and for all you listeners. Apologies if this is triggering, but this is also an issue that needs to have light brought onto it. And thoughts and prayers aren't going to get us anywhere. We need action. We need revolution, because clearly our government isn't going to do jack shit. But that's a story for another day. Let's just go ahead and have a brief moment of silence for those souls lost, and petition an easy transition for each of their spirits, and pray that each of their families find solace and comfort and peace after this horrible, horrible tragedy, and the other mass shooting tragedies that have happened frequently as well. May Mary and Santísima Muerte guide those lost souls to wherever they're destined to be after life, and also bring peace and comfort to their families.
Yeah. The world's on fire, and I'm sick of it. And you're right. All right. I mean, this is going to be. I don't want to make this political because this is a conversation for another time. But yes, voting is not enough anymore. Voting is important, but voting is not enough. We have to. Folks need to organize. People need to donate. Put your money where your mouth is, and get things done.
Absolutely. But speaking of money, and speaking of a fair where things are being sold, that brings us to today's topic of spiritual materialism. I know when I first started, when my practice was very, very new age still, oh my God, I was
Oh
buying all
no.
the things. I was like, oh my God, I can buy these crystals to solve these problems. I can buy this, that, and the third, this talisman, this necklace, whatever
Right.
oh my God, spending my money left and right, thinking that's what was going to help me, quote unquote, spiritually ascend. And even now, I'm so guilty of buying tools that I end up not using, or just buying things because, like, I'm a material girl in a material world and I like to buy things. But
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk a lot about how it's not always necessary, and how we could fall into the trappings of materialism, because I'm hardcore against the idea that you have to completely reject the modern physical world and physical realm in order to be spiritual. I firmly believe and always advocate for a balance between the spiritual and the physical. I don't think you need to go full ascetic hermit and reject the world and go meditate in a cave for a year long with no contact or anything to be quote unquote spiritual or holy or whatever. That just no. In fact, I think that would be more detrimental because we're just not built for that in the age we live in. So
Yeah. Listen, I think that there is a place for all of it. I mean, would I want to be in like a cottage in the middle of nowhere with, the closest like neighbor is like, I don't know, like a mile away? I mean, yes and no. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, it's an interesting thought, because the thing about it is that we've been so conditioned to kind of live the lives that we live. And we've learned to adapt, you know what I mean? Like, magic has grown and it's evolved, and folks have been able to adapt based on their environment. With that said, I think what the issue isn't really necessarily the things, but the idea that the things are necessary. Like what you said, like these things are not necessary. Because, like, for example, something that I find very necessary, and this is going to be a very shameless plug because this is not even my product, this is a friend's product. It is inherently a magical product because there is magic imbued in it, but it is my Banex Bramble perfume, which is fucking, by the way, I'm just gonna take this time to, this perfume is, I've had it for a week now and it wears so well. It is so good. Austin, if you're listening to this episode, oh god, you killed it. You killed it with this fragrance. It's Luxuria, yeah.
Ooh.
It's the Venusian one. Oh my god, it sits on my beauty altar. It is so good. But this is something that I value really, really, really so much, and I use it intentionally. You know what I mean? I don't just use it to smell good, even though it smells divine. It smells so fucking good. Fucking killed it. Austin is so good, honestly. But like, speaking of like the things that I kind of am very guilty before, like when I was like, first starting in my practice, something that always pops into my head are these singing bowls, because singing bowls were a huge thing when I first started. I don't know how big they are now, but singing bowls were a huge thing when I first started, and that was like maybe like 6 years ago or something like that. And everyone had a fucking singing bowl, right? These like beautiful like quartz crystal like bowls that sound so divine. They sound so actually, some of them I can't stand, but like some of them are absolute. The bigger ones I like the ones that have like kind of like a deeper like sound to them, I like a lot. But like the higher ones, like the ones with like a higher frequency, maybe because I don't know, I don't know.
You're not ready to ascend through 5D with those high pitched tones.
Yeah, I'm just like low vibrations, like but like I was so obsessed with singing bowls. And like, if this is not like when I was like, I thought I was practicing witchcraft, but I was definitely not. But like, this was like around the time where like I thought that I was kind of like conflating like spirituality and magic, or spirituality and witchcraft, and they were like all the same thing, which is not. So I thought I was doing witchcraft, so I bought this set of 3 singing bowls. And apparently like the note that it sings is like connected to a chakra, which is already a red flag as it is. I didn't know it then, but like when you hear someone say that, you're like, oh, that sounds important, that sounds like something I need, right? These huge quartz singing bowls that was like almost $300 for the set, and I never used them. I never because I never knew how to use them properly. I just like, I know how to make them make sound, but I never knew how to, spiritually, on like a spiritual level, because I would like try to do it while meditating, which I don't even do anymore. I don't even fucking meditate anymore because I pray. Like trying to meditate and do these singing bowls at the same time, it was just so distracting. It didn't make any sense. So it wasn't feeding into any sort of, I don't know. It wasn't feeding into my spirituality by any means. And I got rid of them. I gave them away. Like I gave them to people who were like, "Hey, do you like this? Like this is like they're not even like in any way like magical, but they just think it was, you know, cute and pretty and very Instagrammy." So I was just like, "Here, you take them. Like you'll get a use out of them." But they could have they would have been better like serving food out of. Like they would have actually been useful if I served food out of them. Like if I made a big
I
old
love a
salad
good.
in them.
Stop! I was just gonna say a Caesar salad. I was like, I can't wait to eat my Caesar salad out of my 432 hertz F chakra quartz singing bowl.
432 hertz. Oh my god. I cannot tell you how many people I was just like, I'm not feeling really good right now. I was like, all right, well, go onto YouTube, go into your car, look up 432 hertz and just sit there and listen. 432 hertz. That was like my thing, telling people that was my magic advice to people. Look up 432 hertz. And just sit there and just be in there and just like, you know, feel the vibration. It was yucky. Like oh my god, if I could be.
I don't know the science behind vibrations and things like that, so I'm not gonna fully dismiss it. I think there's some credence to them, but I definitely, like you said, like when it comes to like, oh, this note resonates with this chakra and la di da, it's like, first of all, how much do you actually know about chakras? Because I used to be big on, again, my practice was very, very new age based, similar to yours when I first started. That's so funny. We both started around 6 years ago. And
I'm telling you, this is not an accident. We were meant to be, Ryan.
we were meant to be, but I literally have my heart chakra tuned quartz singing bowl staring at me, and I haven't touched that shit in like over a year, over 2 years probably.
Yeah.
Sounds beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but I do have some Tibetan singing bowls. Like I have one on the altar of Kuan Yin because I'm trying to actually build like a legitimate Buddhist aspect of my practice, and it does incorporate singing bowls. But I completely get what you meant, like with like just especially the quartz singing bowls. Like I saw that, and I was like, oh, I have to get that because that's gonna help me become more spiritual. Played it a couple times, or like when I used to give Reiki publicly, like I would incorporate it into my Reiki sessions. But then like once COVID hit, I don't think I ever touched that singing bowl again.
I also have a Tibetan singing bowl. It's a small little one that I keep on my altar, and I use it to charge my herbs. So
really?
like, yeah, like I'll put like once I connect with my herbs and I give them a job, I put them in the bowl, and then I have the bowl sing for them, so it charges the herbs.
Never would. I've done. I don't know if I've done it, but I've thought of doing that with like water, like charging water with the vibration of the singing bowl. But
yeah, you could do that too.
I never thought about doing it with herbs. That's ingenious.
I've also used it as a way to consecrate water and use it. I use it as a chalice. So I'll use it as a chalice and drink out of it if I'm doing some sort of ritual.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll charge the water inside of it. I'll do the whole thing. And it's really beautiful to look because it's beautiful when it sings, but it's beautiful to watch because you see like the
ripples,
the vibrations. Yeah, like the ripples in the water.
Yeah.
And you see like water come up, and it's really beautiful. And it kind of gives you like a visual of the magic that you're putting into it, you know. And then once you kind of consecrate the water and you make it kind of like a holy water, I'm not calling it holy water because it's not holy water, but you know, just like it's consecrated water or blessed water, you want to say. And I use that to kind of imbue my like self with water in a ritual, whatever, and I'll use that as a chalice. It's a beautiful way to do that.
That's really
and you can also do that with like a crystal wine glass, because crystal wine glasses make that same sound, right? So you can like that whole thing where like I always reminds me of Miss Congeniality, where she's like doing the thing of like she does that for her talent. And so like that, where you kind of lick the tip of your finger, and like the vibrations from you kind of. Oh my god! I was about to say rim. I was about to say rim. I knew you were gonna say something. When you kind of rub the rim, oh Jesus Christ! When you rub the rim of the glass, it makes that sing. So you can do it with the crystal wine glass as well. But anyways, we're talking about stuff to do with stuff that we have. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a place for things, right? But you have to also know that you have to be able to use them effectively, because the important part is not the thing that you have. It's like, okay, are you using it to feed into your magic, right?
I bought a crystal ball because I was like, oh my god, I'm totally gonna use this for scrying. I tried once or twice, and now it just sits around and I do absolutely nothing with it.
Okay, see, that's what. Okay, this is a tip that I got from Keanu. Keanu says, the perfect scrying mirror is your phone when it's off, or when it's
because it's like I was gonna say it's a natural black mirror. I mean, I do have an obsidian scrying mirror, So I mean, but the phone, our phones can act as portable black mirrors. Um,
Yes. So yeah, so it that's what I'm saying is like all these things you already have, or you think you need, you potentially already have,
or you could
right?
just scry in a bowl of water too. It's like you don't even
You
need to buy
can.
something to scry in.
Or you can scry looking into a water that has a reflection of the candle flame. Like if you kind of
Yeah.
like have a candle flame in front of you and you look into the water and you can see the flame through the water, and you kind of like jolt the water a little bit, you can scry through that. There's so many, and creativity is so important that's why it's called witchcraft. You're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
craft. You're supposed to, be creative with it and try to figure things out without having to spend $300 on a. I've seen scry mirrors in occult shops that are literally like the size of a hand mirror that you just
Yeah.
like kind of like hold up for like $200.
That's insane. I got mine for like $50 off Etsy, and it's a hefty one. It's like, I mean, people who are listening can't see this, but Patreon viewers, it's like a good it's a good fucking chunk in size. I don't know the dimensions,
Yeah.
but it's a hefty. It can knock someone out. It's a blunt object. Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Oh, I have a wand that I bought. It was a wand made from a reclaimed old tree from this kind of pretty bougie metaphysical store in San Francisco. It's called the Scarlet Sage Apothecary. I do like it because they have a wide herb selection that you can go in and like weigh and pay different herbs and stuff. But that's even another thing. One time I spent 3 hours in that store, Fonzie, because I actually hadn't purchased the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham, like the go-to book on herbal magic associations yet. And so I was using the copy in the store, and I spent 3 hours going through the back of the book, just looking up herbal associations. And I was like, oh, I need that. I need that. I shit you not, I walked out of there with at least 20 different herbs, most of which sit in one of my altars in mason jars, but like I've only used not even half of them, maybe like a handful of them. So I didn't realize at the time that herbs, even when dried and stored properly, they really only remain, I guess, quote unquote, potent for about a year until they start to lose like kind of their qualities. And so I bought all of those herbs for what I in my spiritual practice, I mainly go back to the same 3 or 4 herbs, and now I have 20 herbs just sitting in jars in a drawer that I don't even touch. So, and from that same store, I was going to say I bought a wand, and it's a really cool looking wand, but like never consecrated it. I don't use it for actual any magic. Like it's just we're led to believe, especially through social media, that you're not a quote unquote real witch, or you're not quote unquote spiritual unless you buy this, that, and a third and use it in your practice. And like you were saying, witchcraft is a craft. Or folk magic. Folk magic is magic for and by the people, the folks. And folks, when they were poor, the peasants, you think peasants way back when they did folk magic had access to all these fancy tools? No, they did. They could do more with a glass of water and a candle than a practitioner today with every tool in the arsenal can do in a big old ritual. You know what I mean?
Well, here, okay, I'm going to talk about the irony of what you just said, because folks who were poor back then made wands from tree branches. Now you're going to go into or a bone, right? Or like a fucking bone wand, which is like my favorite kind of wand, by the way, because I'm making one right now. But these folks used like they find like a coyote out in the fucking wherever. They use all of its parts, and they use like the tibia. I don't even know if a coyote has a tibia, but like a leg bone to make a wand. But like now you go into a metaphysical shop, and they have wands that are made from tree branches that probably cost nothing for them to make, and it's going to cost you a good like $80 for like it's wild. It's absolutely insane. And the thing about it is that it's so much. I also don't want to say this because I don't think it's fair, because sometimes it's not accessible, but at the same time, it's just like, this is the reason why you go out and forage. You have to look for your own materials. I have a wand that I forged. Like I was on a hike, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the perfect wand, like the branch for a wand. That is my intention. That is why I'm going on this hike. I went on my favorite trail out here in LA, which is next to Malibu. And that's all I wanted to do. And I went out, and I went into I went off the trail, and I wanted to really go find a wand or a branch that I really, really liked. And that's what I did. I found one, and it's like one of my favorite things on my altar. It's like so beautiful. And like I made it myself. Like I made like a handle. I wrapped it in copper wire. I did like all of these things. I consecrated it. I did like ribbons. I made it really beautiful. You know what I mean? And I think this is like the idea, like what you said when you were talking about like how social media kind of convinces us that this is what your practice is supposed to look like. the look is everything for some reason, and that's the thing that bothers me the most, is like your, because I can almost guarantee that at least half of the people that you see online on like which Instagram don't even practice. They don't practice. Like anyone can be a really good photographer and get those things and put it on a really pretty altar and just like, you know what I mean? What does that wand do? Like that pretty little wand that you see on Instagram, what does it do? What is its power? Because I would much rather see an ugly, whatever, dirty, actually, I would prefer to see an ugly, dirty wand that looks like it's been used a million times than a pretty little frilly wand that doesn't look like it does shit. You know what I mean? It's like capped off with a quartz and then like, you know what I mean? So
I have one
it's
of
like
those
trying
too.
to, huh?
I said I have a wand just like that too. I was at a metaphysical fair, and this lady made these really cool wands where it was like like wood that she would forage. I remember I have this one. It's birch, and it has wire wrapped around it, and it has like 7 quote unquote chakra stones on it. And then on one end it has like a
Mm-hmm.
spherical piece of obsidian or onyx, and then on the other end it's like a quote unquote Lemurian quartz. So
Mm-hmm.
again, me spending money on shit that I don't need and never use.
Yeah. But then also in saying that, there's also another side of this where yes, those things can work. You just have to make sure you use them appropriately and that you do that you do the magic. I'm never going to go ahead and, because a lot of those things that you're seeing in a metaphysical shop or the things that you see online are being sold by like, you know, small businesses, and you should support these people. You know what I mean? If you feel so inclined, if you don't feel like you're skilled or, you know, crafty enough to make a wand, then yes, go buy one. Go buy one if you really, really want one and you have a purpose for it. And it's not just going to sit on your altar and collect. Because remember, when people make wands, there is a spirit in that wand. There is a spirit that is in that wand that is supposed to be respected and revered. So are you only buying the wand because you think you need the wand because some book told you, or some person on Instagram told you that you needed a wand for a certain thing, or are you using it because you want to work with the spirit of your wand, right? Because there are, you know, occult there are sellers and there are small businesses that sell occult goods. I met a whole bunch of them over this past weekend, and they make incredible products. And I bought a couple and I intend to use them because I knew that what I was getting I was intending to use, right? So, you know, you kind of have to kind of it's strange to try to navigate this whole thing because you want to support your fellow witches and support your, but at the same time it's like, well, you don't necessarily need it all, you know, kind of live. It's very, you know, it's very the temperance card in the tarot, where you have to understand, like, keep your foot in the water and but also on the other foot like in land, you know, stay grounded, make sure you understand what you're doing.
Well, I think also another downside of constantly purchasing objects, like yes, it's great if you can build a relationship and consecrate and work with the spirit of an object you buy. That's wonderful. But I think a big part in my craft that really helped me evolve in my craft was when I actually started making my own things. And I'm not talking about just tools, but like when I
Absolutely.
started making my own oils, and like, don't get me wrong, again, I still buy, if I know a trustworthy practitioner whose magic is the shit, like, yeah, I'm gonna buy their oils, I'm gonna buy the things they make because I'm gonna use it, and two, I trust their magic. And it's very
Right.
far and few between that I will trust someone either for a tarot reading or for a product, because I have to know, or at least know other people who I do trust their reviews and their opinions. Like you, if you told me that you bought a magical product from a certain vendor and that it was the shit, I would trust that opinion. But like, just because something on Etsy has 500,000 5-star reviews, girl, that could just be fucking alcohol in a bottle with like a herb thrown in it and saying it's for
Right.
prosperity. Like, they could be selling you a fucking snake oil dud. And again, you can make that work if you put your own energy and magic into it. But really, there are going to be scammers out there who throw
Mm-hmm.
some shit in a bottle and say, oh my god, I consecrated this and it does this and that, and really they're just selling you snake oil. And but yeah, like when I started reading more books and getting advanced in my craft and making my own stuff, that's where the magic really started to blow up. Especially, I've noticed when I make stuff for other people. Like, don't get me wrong, like doing magic for myself, like I can do that, but like there's something extra magical when I'm doing something on behalf or for someone else, or when I'm making a gift or a product for someone else. Like, I feel like there's just a little
Oh
piece of
yeah.
my heart that comes out a bit more when making those things that just make it like that product oomph. And you don't get that when you buy something. Again, you can put your own magic into it and you can connect with it doing this, that, and the third. But like, I think a big part of growing as a witch, as a folk magician, whatever you identify as, is having the confidence to learn, to experiment, to make products. And maybe your product isn't going to be shit, but you're going to learn how to do better because you at least attempted and made a mistake or a failure, and you can learn from that and then go forward creating a better product with the knowledge you got from that mistake. Because I originally made some oils like maybe 2.5-3 years ago for the very first time, strictly just going off of what was in the back of Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham. Like I was just like, oh, this is associated with the sun, let me just throw these in a bottle with some jojoba oil or sunflower oil, and bam, it's done. But now in my craft, now I know how to use, now at this point in my craft, I know how to work with planetary days and hours, and I can
Right.
combine that with plant allies that I've already bonded with through my spiritual practice. Not just what this book tells me to use, or says, not tells me, not just what Scott Cunningham's book says is associated with a certain herb, but what I feel is associated, what I feel is going to work in this oil. And so then I can work with the planetary days and the hours. I can work with the spirits of plants that I already have a relationship with, and then I can make an oil that's 100 times better than that oil that I made 3 years ago. And I wouldn't know that had I not continued to grow and learn and make mistakes and errors, you know. And if you solely rely on buying your products, you're going to lack that growth and experience that you earn when you at least step out of your comfort zone and make your own things. And that's just talking about oils. Like I don't make like incense sticks or anything. I know people who roll their own incense, and I think that's fucking dope. I haven't done shit like that yet. I've never made my own wand because I'm not a craftsman. I don't have the tools to do so. But like, at least when it comes to oils or like resin incense blends, like the other day I made an incense blend out of a book. It's mixed with certain amounts of frankincense, myrrh, and benzoin. And then right now, again, from another recipe from this book, I'm making the holy anointing oil based out of the book of Exodus in the Bible. So it's a fucking big ass bottle of olive oil with calamus, cassia, cinnamon, and myrrh. And that shit has to marinate for 6 weeks. And so like I'm putting it on each of my altars for 2-week periods to marinate and be blessed by all of my spirits. And again, this is shit I never would have known to done years ago, you know?
Right.
So again, my whole point is just, we need to get out of, if we ever want to grow in our practice as witches, as magicians, whatever, we need to get out of our comfort zone and make things.
Right. I agree. I think it's also imperative. I wish someone told me this when I was just starting. So I'm going to, just in case there's someone out there who is just starting in witchcraft, is your money is going to go so much further if you spend it on classes or workshops.
Yes.
I would much rather before you start spending a lot of money on tools, go to like there are so many accounts on Instagram that offer classes, like the Half-Ass Witch. I don't know if you follow them.
Yes, I do follow them. I haven't taken any of their classes, but I know the user.
Yeah, they do workshops every once in a while, and they're moderately priced. I think the last class I took, which was ethical hexing, was $20, which was a pretty decent, pretty fair price for what they taught. And it was great because I was able to learn a lot of stuff from what they were teaching. So put your money towards learning more. Okay, so the things that I will never say is you're kind of overspending on is knowledge, right?
Absolutely.
You can never overspend on learning something new. So buying books, buying resources online, buying classes. And a lot of these classes you can actually rewatch, right? So they can be kind of like part of your arsenal. They can be part of your toolbox. And then also some folks, I'm not one of them, so please do not reach out to me. And also Ryan is not one of them, so do not reach out to them. But some people are willing to teach you if you approach them on, if you try to DM them, you can ask them if they can teach you a certain skill for a price, for money, which is cool. Like if you wanted to learn a certain spell or learn how to do a certain whatever, there are folks who are willing to do that privately, so do that, do those things, invest in things like that will actually encourage you to learn how to do these things yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, we have to get out of that idea. And I was warned by a family member who is also spiritually inclined or magically inclined. When I was doing all the, like, when I was buying all these, like I was so proud of my altar and so proud of my tools, I would send them pictures of all the things that I was doing and and she would be like, everything looks wonderful. do you know how to use any of it? And then I would go like, of course I do. Like, what do you think? Like, of course I know how to use it. I would tell her everything that I was like, this is associated with this and this is associated with this. And they would be like, okay, stop buying stuff and just sit and connect. Like, that's all you need to do. Like, they're not a witch, but like it was kind of new agey. So like they were just like, just sit and connect with like your environment, which is good advice. So it's also something that I want to give to, the folks out here who are listening. If you are starting out, like, the stuff that you have in front of you is probably not feeding into your practice. What is feeding into your practice is who you work with, who you are communing with, the spirits that you like. Take the time, save your money, take the time, commune with the spirits, connect with spirits, connect with your plant allies, understand what they want from you, like how much time you need to connect with a plant. Just connecting with rosemary and figuring out what rosemary wants to do for you, it takes so much time. It takes so much time to connect with what rosemary is consenting to do with you. So do that first before you start, and there are people who have like these fucking athames on their, these gorgeous athames, stunning athames on their altar, and they never use them. They're just sitting there. You know what I mean? And they're using it to cut things. And I'm just like, you're not supposed to use an athame to cut anything. I'm just like, stop cutting a fruit with an athame. Like, stop it. But anyways, that was just my little. I'm gonna step down from my soapbox real quick.
No, but you all valid points were made, and it's sad because, again, like, I didn't grow up during a time when like all that was available on Witchcraft Online were like witchcraft forums and things like that, right? Like, I'm not that old of a witch. Like, my practice really has only been.
That was a little shady.
No.
Shady.
I'm just saying because there's witches in the social media sphere who are, in their late 30s, 40s, even 50s, who grew up during those times. I grew up always interested in magic and fantasy and things like that, but it wasn't until the last decade where I started to get into like actually into magic. But again, like the first couple of years of that was very, very new age metaphysical. I don't even want to say knowledge. It just, again, new age metaphysical stuff that I was reading and practicing, like crystals, incense, things like that. But my actual witchcraft practice and folk magic practice really, which has evolved just in the last couple of years since it started, has only been the last 2.5 or so years. So again, I still have so much to learn. But nowadays, when people are, where I'm going with what point I'm trying to make is that for people who are really late to the game in terms of like getting into social media because they want to learn more about witchcraft, like there's a vast amount, but in somewhat an an influx of information out there where you don't know where to go. And so when you're bombarded by the algorithm with just things that look pretty or things that like people buy followers, so obviously it's going to promote their shit, that's when like you start to get like this misinformed view of what your craft is supposed to look like or what you're supposed to be doing. You go on, like you were saying earlier, like you just see a really aesthetically pleasing altar and you're like, oh, I should have one like that. If they're doing real witchcraft, quote unquote real witchcraft, then that means I have to do real witchcraft by having an altar that looks like that. But like you were also saying, Fonzie, it's like you don't push it on an altar that has no purpose. Like on my ancestor altar, my Marian altar, Santa Muerte's altar, there's nothing standing on that altar that has no significant, or that lacks a significant purpose or meaning, both either to that spirit or ancestor or to me. Like, I have a shit ton of prayer cards on both my ancestor altars and Mary's altar, but like, even if it's not a saint that I work with, I'm saving it for a time I might, I'm not just buying it because I'm like, oh, I heard this saint's good for this, let me just buy the card and put it on my altar. But rather it's just like, it's collecting something I know I'm going to utilize at one point, or like at least can reflect on the significance of it, as opposed to just buying a mystery bag of crystals and putting it all over your altar and you don't even know what half of those crystals are associated with, So just, and I can't even agree more on, if you're going to spend your money, spend it on knowledge, because the only way I got to where I am today is taking workshop after workshop after workshop. I even took a 6-month long course with my mentors at City Alchemist, which completely blew my relationship with Santa Muerte out of the water. Like, it went from being already an intimate relationship to being able to do so much more. And sometimes when you take a workshop with someone, you may learn information from their personal experience or from word of mouth that you're not going to find in a book that you can buy. And
absolutely.
So that's a really big, like, a lot of the information I learned from City Alchemist in that 6-month long intensive with Santa Muerte, they learned from the Culto de Santa Muerte, because they live in Texas, on the border of Texas and Mexico. So they learned from like the from the Cuota de Santa Muerte teachers that like were on the Tex-Mex border, and there's not a lot of books on Santa Muerte either, and the ones that are there, you got to kind of take with a grain of salt because it's sometimes written from an outside perspective. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. I'm just saying, when you take classes with people, sometimes you may learn and gain experience and knowledge that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. But a disclaimer with that: when you are spending your money on workshops and classes, also vet who you're learning from, because again, there may be someone with 100,000 followers who is just selling you snake oil versus someone who's doing a class with 30 years of experience and only has 2,000 followers, but you're going to learn so much more from that person than you are with someone who has a huge ass following. So learn critical thinking and discernment to make sure that if you are going to spend your money on workshops and classes, it's from someone reputable.
I agree. I 100% agree. The thing about it is that I know that they're okay. Oh God, I might get in trouble by saying this. There are folks that I have met and know online that I think might not be practicing witches. Like we call them armchair witches. So just so folks would, if you're not familiar with this term, armchair witch is basically someone who learns everything about witchcraft but doesn't actually utilize them. They kind of just like, they read it and then they stand on their soapbox and they just like teach about it without actually practicing it. So it's really, really important to vet who the hell you're getting your services from, getting your knowledge from, because a lot of the times you're paying extra for things that you can just like literally read in a book. With that said, it's not easy to vet. It isn't, because a lot of these folks are really good at kind of convincing you that they're the real deal. Now, I don't want to go on I don't want to kind of put myself on a pedestal or anything. I have less than 700 followers on Instagram currently. I can almost guarantee you that that there are folks who have like 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 followers on Instagram who do not have as much power as I do. Guaranteed. And I can say that with absolute confidence. I'm not saying anyone in particular. I'm not trying to point at anyone, and I don't want anyone to try to figure out who these people are. I have my own opinions, and my opinions are my opinions, and I'm going to keep them to myself. Actually, that's not true. I tell them to Ryan all the time, but I'm not going to put it out on a public platform like that, because that's not polite. But at the same time, I mean, I also think these people need to be called out when, they do when they get caught slipping. But anyways, that's not the point. You have to understand that there are folks, like exactly what Ryan said, there are folks who have no following who are just so immensely powerful. Like the folks that I trust, that I really, really trust, have less than 10,000 followers, like you and Franny. Like Franny is probably one of the most powerful witches I've ever met in my entire life. Franny, I keep saying Franny. Francisco, who is the Wicked Witch of LA. That's my girl. That's my sister. So like I keep saying Franny. So I'm just like saying like, it's very casual. But anyways, yeah, the Wicked Witch of LA is one. She is one powerful witch, and I trust Franny, and I can vet for Franny, and I can vouch for Franny because I've worked with Franny. We've done magic together. We've crafted together. We've conjured together. So, those are the and personal testimonies. That's like the best way to vet somebody, right? Is personal testimonies from other people who have worked or received a service from them. There are folks who will vouch for me just from my tarot readings, because there are folks who get readings from me and they're just like, you need to go to Fonzie. Fonzie is incredible. Right in front of Franny's face. It's nice. I like it. I'm just kidding. Franny's incredible. But like, we'll go back and forth. It's like, okay, so do a tarot reading with me and then go to Franny to do a bone throwing. Okay. And then compare and contrast and see what you get. You know what I mean? It's very that. So, but yeah, understand that there are folks who do get these services. And so like, ask them, like, have you ever gotten a service from this person? Did you have a good experience? What did you get out of it? So yeah, vetting is very, very, very important.
Absolutely. But again, when it comes to buying spiritual services, don't think that you need to buy spiritual services, because with the tarot readings, for example, right? If you're going to go to 5 different readers with the same exact question, chances are you're just trying to look for confirmation bias, and you're just trying to find the answer that you want to hear,
Yeah,
not what you need to hear.
it's a good
And
point.
but even with buying classes, again, you need to be careful and discerning with who you go to for tarot readings, because again, there are people out there just like fake psychics who are really good at cold calling, who will just kind of like read your body language and kind of again feed you what you want to hear and be able to give you a quote unquote wonderful reading when it's really just them. Again, it's the snake oil of tarot readings. Like no, I hate that shit. That's why like I got hired on a psychic reading app called Purple Ocean, and I felt like I was a gimmick on there, because the type of readings I personally like to give people are ones that are going to lead to a lot of internal and spiritual growth, not, oh my god, is this my twin flame? Like, sure, if I wanted to, I could give you a reading on that, but that shit drains me. I shit you not, Fonzie. The 1 month that I was doing readings on Purple Ocean, 99% of all questions I got were all about partners or divorcees or relationships in one way or another. Like, I only
Yeah,
had a handful of people who actually were concerned about themselves or, actual spiritual or internal work.
yeah,
The rest was just like, oh my god, is he thinking about me? Are we gonna break up? And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna break up. Okay, what now? Like, are you gonna do the work so you actually like can get someone that's gonna stick with you? Like, oh, it was just.
right, right.
So I say all that to say, just like, again, when buying knowledge, when buying spiritual services, being discerning is so important. And I know it can be really hard to do that, but in the future we will have an episode to give you tips and advice on spiritual discernment and critical thinking when it comes to buying spiritual services, or even just buying spiritual products or buying classes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give a little bit of taste of that, because I think one of the things that I do to vet my readers, or the people that this is the advice that I would give, because personally, I don't know how you feel about it. Ryan and I are both readers, so I personally, when clients come up to me, I personally really like when they ask for a general reading, personally, because I get to make it specific. I get to be like, okay, so this is what we're talking about today. I get a lot of general, like, I don't know, just something general, which I love. I really love that. And so most of the time it's just like, what's going on with your dad? So I get to make it kind of personal. That is like the first like kind of thing where um that who's reading for you is kind of the real deal, where they make it specific. So I would implore, I mean, if you need to go to someone to get a reading, if you need more insight on something and you do need to get something specific, then yeah, go ahead and do that. But I would think that it would be probably better for you, in regards to getting a reading, you get your money's worth when you go to a reader, to ask for something general, only because what you think you need to work on in your life is not what your spirits think that you need to work on. And your spirits will be like, we need to bypass this for a second. We need to focus on, like, for example, I'm not going to call out names, but like, let's just use this for an example. Someone asked for a general reading, and I specifically asked about what they were going on with their father. It was a lot of fatherly energy, a lot of like, blah, 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 and then a lot of money. So I was just like, there's something going on with your dad that has to do with their finances. Is your father a frugal a frivolous person? They started to cry. So this is this is kind of like how you kind of get a feel for your and also kind of shopping around, kind of not getting, like, if you find a reader that you connect with because like they're telling you all these things that you want to hear, that's probably not a good idea. Maybe you should like maybe shop around to see like what other people are saying. But anyways, I kind of went on a tangent there. But I think yeah, the readers who are just confirming all the good things about you and saying that you're on a journey. Like
Where?
that. Like, where am I going, girl? Yeah, like, you're about to start a journey, and you're about to make a lot of money, and you're about to meet someone who's going to, it's a lot of that. And
Yeah.
it's just like, no, like, give me more. Like, if you're really connecting with my spirits are really telling you something that I need to work on, whatever. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and like we were mentioning earlier in the podcast, it's like the more you grow with knowledge, wisdom, and experience, the more you know where to dedicate your money when it comes to buying material
Right.
things for your spiritual practice. Because again, just to reiterate, it's not horrible to have material things. It's just a matter of what's the intention behind the product that you're buying. Like, is this really going to be beneficial for your practice? Are you buying it just for show? Are you buying it just because someone told you to and you feel like you need to have it? Like, no. Again, the more you develop your critical thinking and intuition and discernment, and you grow in your practice, you'll know what things to dedicate your money towards. Like now, again, as a folk Catholic, like I buy things like saint medals or crucifixes or holy oils, and like I use them, I bless them
Yeah.
myself, and I use them. Whereas, before, like I mentioned, I was buying wands that I don't even touch, or I was buying crystals just because I was like, oh my god, buying this one crystal is gonna mend my broken heart and I'll never need anything else again. Like, no. And like, again, a really powerful witch will be able to work with the spirit of a certain crystal or mineral and achieve results. But if you're just buying things because you're like, oh, I know rose quartz is good for love, I'm gonna sleep with it under the pillow and meet the love of my life next week. Like, no, Becky, that's not how that works. Or like moldavite. Oh my god, the whole moldavite craze.
Moldavite. Jesus fuck. Okay, hold on for a second. Like, can we just talk about crystals for a second? You have to be, if you were, I don't work with crystals anymore because they frustrate me. But you have to be, if you do work with crystals and you're interested in crystals, which they are important to some people, and I think there definitely is value in crystals when it comes to in a magical sense. You have to be so careful when you buy crystals, because a lot of the times these folks are selling you crystals that are probably just glass that is dyed, like dyed glass, which is fine. Like, you can use anything you want and, like what we said, consecrate it and kind of infuse it with your own magic. It doesn't have to be, whatever. You can use whatever you want. But if you're getting your money's worth, if you're getting a rose quartz, make sure, if you're paying for a rose quartz that you're gonna stick in your fucking foreskin, make sure it's a fucking rose quartz. Make sure that I'm not saying put rose quartz in your foreskin. Please don't do that.
I am.
But what I'm
If I went down on someone and they had rose quartz in their foreskin, that's
that'd be cunt.
Wow. Yeah, I would want to keep them
Forever. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my boyfriend that, actually.
Keep a rose quartz in your foreskin. Oh my god, I'm sorry, dear listeners. That was really cross. But anyways, but yeah, know that what you're paying for, it's really kind of hard it's hard to tell sometimes. But if you look really closely, you can actually kind of see the streaks in dyed glass. And also, if you drop it and it shatters, that's glass. So, you know what I mean? So be really careful when the things, like, especially with crystals, because crystals are a huge thing. People love crystals. I mean, understandably, crystals are gorgeous. And they do have, a certain magical value. They do hold magic in some sense. So, they are of the earth. So, here, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about lab-made crystals, like lab-made diamonds and like natural diamonds? Like, how do you feel about that?
That's so funny. I was reading up on that, like, I'm not a short time ago, but sometime last year, because I was just curious about it. But I don't know. I don't really have a solid opinion on it. I mean, it depends on what you're buying it for. Are you trying to incorporate it into magic, or are you just trying to like buy your boo thing like a diamond? You don't know if it's lab made or natural made. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, even things that are made in a lab happens because of things that the earth has made that we as a human species have just like figured out how to recreate, if that makes sense. And so really, I don't think it's any different. I mean, it's
Me neither.
I think it's beautiful because a natural made crystal, that it's been in the earth for forming from pressure in the earth with charcoal and all that shit for years and years and years. So it's like of the earth. So I would say maybe it has more of like a I hate using the term vibration, that's not what I'm going for, but like an energy that's more attuned to the earth versus something made in a lab. But that's not to say that you can't utilize the lab made one for magical purposes too.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I agree. The thing about it is, if you want to look at it from like a scientific stance, the components are exactly the same. A diamond is a diamond, right? Whether it's made in the earth or it's made in a lab, I really couldn't care less. Also, fucking lab-made diamonds are so much cheaper. So like, it's literally the same exact thing. They're just made in a lab. They're not synthetic. They're actually components that make up a diamond. And like the clarity is better. You know what I mean? It's like all those things. Anyways, because there are folks who use their engagement rings and their wedding rings as talismans. You know what I mean? So like, what if you get a lab made diamond and you want to use your diamond as a talisman? Like, use it. Like, go ahead, use it. It doesn't hold in my personal opinion, I don't think it holds any less magic, because the magic comes from you, babes. It doesn't come from, anything. I mean, God, that's also kind of slippery slope. Magic doesn't come from the earth. That's not true either. But, I don't know. I think there's also a lot of magic in knowing that humans know how to make a diamond. Like, are you kidding? That's
Right.
incredible. That is so cool to know that a human made a diamond. That is wild. That is so wild to think that a human can make a diamond. That's just crazy. Anyways, but with that said, are there things that you do have that you feel in your personal practice that are essential? Things
Oh, I'm sorry.
things that you do practice with very often, and you know, through kind of like the trial and error, you've realized this is what my money is worth. Like, this is where my money is going and should go.
Yeah, absolutely. At first, jewelry just became an expensive habit before I even got involved with magic, but now I can indulge in my love for jewelry while using it magically. I mean, Fonzie's seen it and it's on my Instagram, but a ring I got that took like a month to get here because it came from Turkey. It's a tetragrammaton ring. And could you just wear it because it's beautiful? Yes, but also I enchanted the fuck out of it for protection. And, or like my ring that I can't take off. It's extremely difficult too, so I don't take it off. But I never take it off in general. Is my Marian consecration ring that has it's the Our Lady of, or it's the miraculous metal put into a ring form. And sure, you could just wear that. Like a basic Catholic person could just
Basic Catholic person.
a lay Catholic person could just purchase one and wear it as their devotion to Mary. But I got mine because I consecrated myself to Mary, and I wanted a symbol to show for it, and I blessed it and wear it every day in her honor. I literally don't take it off. I was taking it on and off so much that it's difficult to, that it was developing calluses on my knuckle. So I was like, you know what? I have pretty hands. I don't want calluses, so I'm just gonna stop taking this off. But rosaries too. Like there's rosaries I bought that I don't actually pray with, but will use it as somewhat of an offering. Excuse me. Use it as an offering. So I'll give it to the spirit that I had the rosary made for. Like the one I'm wearing right now, I had it custom made by, their name is Alyssa, aka the Stormy Witch, actually, who lives in the East Bay of the Bay Area, and I had them custom make this rosary out of amethyst and moonstone for Santissima Muerte, and I wear this every single day, but I can also use it for praying. So rosaries, I'm a sucker for buying rosaries, even just for their mere beauty, but it's something I also pray, or I at least try to pray every single day. What else? Things like resins and incense, things I burn daily as offerings or use to cleanse spaces, are things I utilize. Oh, I'm a sucker for buying tarot decks, even if I don't actually use them, because I like to collect them as art. But there are times where I buy a new deck that like I'll have such a connection to that I end up using it all the time. Like my main go-to deck is my it's a Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and it's just the classic Rider-Waite-Smith. But like when I first got it, I carried it with me everywhere. I still carry it with me everywhere to this day in my work bag or backpack, whatever. And it never fails to give me a bad reading. Or like I have a deck specifically for Santa Muerte. I have a deck specifically on my ancestor altar, and then the other deck I use really commonly is this one I got on my birthday, my 23rd birthday.
I love that deck.
The Influence of the Angels. This is another one. This and my Raider White deck I use for all my readings, and then the deck on Santa Muerte's altar and my ancestor altars, those ones I use specifically for those spirits. Although I want to try using Santa Muerte's deck for reading for other people, because she also is always spot on. Like never fails to give the insight for me or other people. And then that's the most part. So I would say tarot decks, rosaries, a lot of full Catholic stuff, like I mentioned. Excuse me, like I mentioned earlier, like saint medals, and then just jewelry in general that I'll then enchant. Those are all things that I usually spend my money on, but it's for me an investment. It's not just frivolous spending.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I have the things that I often purchase because I feel like they're integral in my practice are well, okay, this kind of goes without saying, candles, because candles are cheap and candles are necessary in my practice because they are so versatile. Whether they're novena candles or they're taper candles, God, I love a good taper candle. They are so, you can do so much with a taper candle. And pillar candles. So candles are very, very, I use candle magic all the time. So candles, and it's not much of an investment. Like even going to the dollar store and getting a pack of tea light candles, or even just like a pack of taper candles for $1. I think the taper candles come in like a pack of 2. So it's like 50 cents per candle. And then I think the tea light candles come in like a pack of 10, I think. So candles I purchase very, very often. I oils I use very, very often. I purchase a lot of herbs, but herbs are also not very expensive because a lot of them I find at the grocery store unless I can't. And then my offerings. So, and that kind of goes into different, depending on what the offering is. Like I change out a cigar that I offer up to St. Anthony um, every month or so. Um, and then rose. I always have rose smoke incense on my altar because that is my favorite offering for Mary. Rosaries I don't really buy a lot. I have one chaplet, which is a Our Lady of Sorrows chaplet, one main rosary which I carry with me all the time, and I have a rosary on my money altar for prosperity. But I don't really have, because I have my main rosary and I have a very good relationship with that. But jewelry, you and I have the same lust for jewelry. God, I love jewelry. It's so first of all, it is so girly. And I love feeling like a girly girl when I'm wearing my jewelry,
Hell
especially when I'm
yeah.
doing readings. When I'm doing readings and my hands are just so flourishy and like so like everyone's like, sometimes folks get distracted during my readings because they're just like looking at me. It's like, oh my God, I love this ring. I love this ring too. Because when I read, every finger has a ring on it.
Oh damn.
Yeah, no, I do. I swear, all of my fingers. I have the Marian consecration ring that you and I both have. I have like a skull ring. I have a pentacle ring. I'm decked out in all rings. I'm a jewelry girl. I really do love jewelry. And then I have my Guadalupe talisman. I also have a pentacle talisman. I also have my Cruz de Caravaca. I have a cross. I have I have cross earrings. Like I have all of it. Like, those are the things I really, and jewelry just makes me happy, brings me joy. But I use them. I use them very, 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 very frequently. So yeah, and then also art. I like to purchase art that I like to, like all of Austin's art that comes in like their packages. They're all next to my computer. They're all posted because I like looking at them because they're so magical, inherently magical, just like looking at them. So that's kind of like the things. But candles, I think candles is like the essential for me.
That's the one thing I didn't mention either, because that was just a given. Everyone that follows me knows I
Yeah.
absolutely love novenas and
I
candle
agree.
magic, and that's literally 90% of my craft is candle magic. Although I will say one thing I want to dive into is making charm bags. I've never personally really made charm bags before, and that's something I really want to experiment with, because like the more I think about it, like you're carrying a tiny spirit with you because you breathe life
Like a
into
spirit
this bag.
house.
Yeah, because like I don't want to say necessarily a mojo bag, because that depends on like a mojo or gree rag, that is very dependent on the culture from which you come. But like any like a charm bag in general, like you're breathing life into it and you feed it, whether that's oil or incense, whatever, to help it constantly achieve a certain outcome. And I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to try making charm bags. But yeah, candle magic, like you were saying, I buy candles up the wazoo. Well, going to the Botanica, ooh, my wallet screams every time I walk through that door.
Yeah. Novenas I don't buy as often as I mean, because they're like, a lot of the novenas I buy are devotional. Like I don't get a lot of spell novenas. A lot of the spell candles that I craft are from tapers or from pillar candles. So because I can customize them. I mean, you can customize like a blank novena. That's also a thing. But I like kind of like carving. I like the action of like carving into the wax and like anointing with oils and like all of that stuff. Like I really like doing that. So, but yeah, candles. There's nothing I buy more in my. I think I buy candles more than I buy food. Honestly, I at least like whenever I do buy food, I buy candles at the same time. You know what I mean? Like candles, I just utilize. So if anyone ever wants to get me a gift, get me a candle because I'll use it. I'll definitely use a candle. But yeah, that's basically really all that I think that are like essential. Now, in saying that, Ryan, do you need all these things to do witchcraft?
Absolutely not.
Hell no, absolutely not.
Like I said, there's the phrase that always goes around that like not I want to say, I don't like using the term true practitioner, but someone extremely powerful with their magic can do more with a glass of water and a single candle than someone with a room full of novenas and altars and statues and prayer cards could ever do. So it's really about faith and power and knowing what you're doing, not about what you're buying and how much you have.
Or just like writing something on a piece of paper, writing a petition on a piece of paper and praying over it. That is and then taking that little piece of paper and putting it over your door as a protection. That's witchcraft. Like, come on, you guys. Like, giving it as an offering to the spirit of your doorway. Like, that's witchcraft. You don't need all of these things. Do they help? Yeah, sure. Are they fun? Yes. Like, yes, they're fun. They make it really, really fun. And I'm not gonna apologize for like all of these pretty things not being fun, because they're fun. But like, what witchcraft actually looks like is connecting with spirits, going outside. I was about to say going outside and touching grass. I'm not gonna say that. Oh no. Oh no. I'm not gonna. That is not okay. I'm not stepping onto that whole bandwagon. But foraging, like gathering things from nature, like going to finding a branch on the ground and asking the tree that it came from for permission to take it. It's like, that is witchcraft. That is being able to commune and traffic with spirits. That is what you're supposed to be doing. And if you want to even not talk about like witchcraft within itself, being able to connect with nature and being able to understand nature and being able to respect nature is what magic is about, because magic is nature. So you can literally just magic when you step outside, giving an offering to your favorite tree, like a beautiful tree, or going to a cemetery and paying your respects, like, giving an offering before you walk into a cemetery and saying hi to the spirits, and having a picnic, sitting there and trafficking with the spirits there, and giving an offering to whatever, that is what you that's what you can do. And then also at the same time, like we talked about at the beginning, that's recognizing that the world is on fire, so donating to charities and serving the community and bringing forth the things that putting your money towards folks who don't have it. That's really, really important, making sure that you put your money where your fucking mouth is. Like, seriously, like you're gonna preach about social justice and the fighting for the marginalized folks and the disenfranchised. Do it. Go do it. Like, stop talking about it and go do it. But yeah. Oh my god, I keep stepping on that soapbox. We need to put the soapbox away. I need to burn it. But anyways. Anything else that you want to talk about spiritual materialism?
No, just that we're spiritual girls in a material world, and it's okay to find a balance between. It's okay to find a balance between the two.
We're spiritual girls in a material world. I love that. I want to put that on a t-shirt. That'd be kind.
Well, that would be kind.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be kind?
That could be on the like how those ugly ass shirts that it's like antisocial social club. We can have like the print like that, and then on like the front is our logo for the podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, hang on. So it's like antisocial social club. It could be like
big font spiritual girls, and then like mini middle font Inna, and then bigger font like material world.
Okay, yeah, that's cute. I love that. That's so sick. Oh gosh. Okay, cool. Do we have any announcements?
No. Well, I mean, all Patreon supporters, you have already received my message, but there was just an update to one of the benefits where, unfortunately, due to life circumstances, I am unable to do zodiac readings anymore. Not that I ever got to, because of those life circumstances and continuing changing ones later this year, but rather I will be providing divination through the form of a collective reading along with some bibliomancy every month. So I'm sorry I never got to do the zodiacal readings. I work full time. I'm about to start grad school, and my mental health is only just finally getting better after these past couple of months. And I got COVID 2 weeks ago. I got COVID, so I'm finally still recovering from that. So I just have not. I'm so sorry to all you patrons, because I know how hard you work to earn your money that you put towards supporting our podcast. So I'm sorry I didn't do the zodiac readings, but I will be delivering monthly collective readings because that is something I can budget into my schedule and deliver on, because I still want to give you all some awesome divination every month. So I sent everyone who's a current patron already a message regarding that. And that's all an announcement that I have on my end that I can think of.
I just want to say thank you so much for the patrons. If you are a patron, for your patience, because it wasn't just coming from Ryan where we were missing some content. It was also coming from me. I haven't posted an early release episode in a very long time, and the reason why is because of the same reason. I mean, I'm not going to grad school, but life is really life is really tough right now. So, or it was, and now that the event Blasphemy has kind of it has calmed my life down a little bit. It's not as busy, and it's kind of re-energized my will to create. So I know that we keep talking about how we're going to get you all of this stuff, but you know, y'all who are, if you are a patron right now, we really appreciate your patience. We and you know, we really do still appreciate your ongoing support regardless of you know, our shortcomings. We try our best. It's only a 2-lady show here, and we're also doing all of this remotely, which makes things kind of difficult, you know, because Ryan is in San Francisco and I'm here in LA. So it's like sometimes, like, you know, we're trying to figure everything else out still still now. But we are trying our best. We appreciate you. We love you. We try to communicate as much as we possibly can. But yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get into that because I'm gonna get all emotional, and that's stupid. We do appreciate everyone, and yeah, that's it. Let's lead out.
For sure. Thank you all so much again for attending yet another Unholy Communion. I am your co-host Ryan, aka the Mestizo Mystic on Instagram. You can also find me on Twitter at Mestizo Mystic.
And my name is Fonzie. I am Witch Illumiscente on Instagram and Twitter. And we will see you guys on our next Unholy Communion.